It had been 15 years since I last stepped foot in my grandma's house. I had grown up there, but after she passed, the house was locked up and left untouched. The memories of childhood days spent with her, her warm hugs, and the smell of her cooking still lingered in my mind. But life had taken me far from that small countryside house. Now, I had to go back to take care of some paperwork. The house was to be sold, and I needed to clean and clear it before leaving. I arrived in the late afternoon, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink. As I pulled up the gravel driveway, I noticed something that made my heart skip a beat. Uncle Mark was standing on the balcony, waving at me with that familiar welcoming smile. It felt like nothing had changed. He looked just as I remembered him, kind, steady, and full of warmth. I waved back, walking up the creaky steps and into the house, trying to shake off the strange sensation crawling up my spine. The house felt frozen in time, like a museum of my past. Dust had settled on the furniture, and the old scent of wood and nostalgia filled the air. I had to clean and make room to sleep. I was only staying 3 days, just enough time to handle the sale of the house and then go back to my life. As I was tidying up, there was a knock at the door. It was Aunt Mary. She had always been the one to greet me with a smile and a cup of coffee in the morning. She walked in, holding a steaming mug in her hand. "I thought you might need this," she said softly. I smiled, taking the cup from her hands. There was something so comforting about the way she made my coffee. Dark, with just the right amount of sweetness. We started talking about old times, about my childhood and the things I used to do around the house. She laughed, her eyes twinkling with memories, and I felt a warmth in my chest, like everything was right with the world again. After a while, she said she had to go. I was left in the quiet house with only my thoughts. I went outside to speak with the broker about selling the house. I had a meeting with him later that evening. As I was walking back toward the front door, I saw Uncle Mark again. He was standing on the balcony, waving his hand, calling me towards him. I smiled and went to greet both Aunt Mary, and he took care of me as if I were their own child. I hadn't seen him in so long. I walked over to the balcony to greet him, but as I got closer, I couldn't help but notice something odd. There was a woman walking out from the door just behind him. Her hair was long and dark, and she wore a faded dress. Nothing I recognized. I paused, wondering if it was someone from that I knew. But when I looked back at Uncle Mark, his face had changed. It was as if he was struggling with something inside. "Uncle Mark, who was that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He hesitated, then wiped his eyes. That was Mary," he said in a hushed tone. I froze. Mary? I repeated. He nodded, his eyes glistening with tears. She and I had an accident 5 years ago. But I met her. I know. She loved you so much. Her soul wouldn't be free until she said her last goodbye to you. And now, she's still here. I was stunned. I couldn't breathe. Just that morning, I had spoken to Aunt Mary. She had brought me coffee. We talked about old memories and laughed about the silly things I used to do around the house. But now, Uncle Mark was telling me she had died years ago. But I spoke to her this morning, I stammered. I know. She loved you. You were like her own child. After she passed, she came back to visit, to see you one last time. She always missed you more than anything. I felt the world spin around me. I staggered back, suddenly dizzy and nauseous. But she's still here. I saw her. She made me coffee. I know, child. She always watched over you. But now, it's time for her to go. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. How was it possible? I had felt her presence so strongly. Her voice, her touch, the warmth of the coffee she gave me. But now, I understood that the woman I had spoken to, the one who smiled and laughed with me this morning, wasn't really there. She was a ghost, a lingering presence, waiting for me to say goodbye. Uncle Mark cried harder, clutching his chest, as if the weight of it all was finally too much to bear. I stood there, speechless, my heart pounding in my chest. The house suddenly felt colder. And from that balcony, I could feel the faintest whisper of her presence. A woman who had loved me more than I knew, who had always been there, even after death. That night, I went to bed in the same room I'd stayed in as a child. The house was silent, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I closed my eyes, but as I drifted into a restless sleep, I heard a soft voice whisper from the corner of the room, "Goodbye, my dear. I'll always love you." And then, nothing. Some things never leave us. Some spirits never truly rest.